Hey, this is Gareth and Bruce. This is our first attempt at a podcast.
We just don't know where it's gonna go.
You got more of the gruff voice. I got more of the
softer feminine voice.
screw you.
Hey.
I don't know, I felt a little snobby when we hit 10 episodes.
Okay, that's an interesting question.
The two of us can be Vin Diesel. Gareth can drive like him, and I can look like him.
Welcome to Spaghetti Junction. My name is Gareth,
My name is Bruce.
and we talk about things. We just don't know where they're gonna go. Welcome to Spaghetti Junction. My name is Gareth,
And my name is Bruce.
and we talk about things.
We just don't know where they're gonna go.
Where's your musical life going lately?
My musical life.
Yeah, bring it on, son.
It's returning to normal.
Oh, finally,
some
after
shape or
how much
form.
freaking, that's crazy.
Like gigging properly again after about 2 years.
That must have felt pretty good.
It does feel good. Yeah, it's just been 2 gigs so far.
Okay.
Um,
Was this with the bands, the like Hell's Angels kind of thing?
yeah. So yeah, for people who don't know, I now play for a classic rock cover band.
Classic rock.
Yeah, we're called the Rusty Bullets.
That's quite a nice name.
And from being the oldest guy in the last 2 bands, I'm now the youngest in the band at 44.
Okay,
Two of the guys are 70.
70?
Two of them are...
Shit.
Those 2 guys are retired. Our bass player is still a couple of years away from retirement. Our lead singer is still then younger than that. So I'd say he's in about his mid-50s.
So they're all over 50 besides you.
And then it's me at 44.
So I would hope with the amount of money, which I know is not a lot, which you make from the gigs, that you get all the money, because those guys are going to die anyways, like way faster than you. So why do they need the money? And they're retired, which means that they have enough money.
I'll bring that up.
So they should be playing it for the love of the music.
We do, trust me, because the money's not great.
Is the money not great at all? Okay.
We're not doing this for the money.
Okay.
But it is fun to actually be out playing again. And
I'm sure.
well, it was quite cool. On Friday night, we played. We did a gig, and it was I had a first in my playing career, and that was playing at an official Hells Angels Clubhouse, which I thought was really cool.
What does a Hells Angels Clubhouse look like? Just a normal bar kind of thing, or what?
Well, it is a residential house, but they've transformed it into there's a bar. There's a really cool bar area. There's there's a lounge with like a custom bike sitting there, and all the Hells Angels memorabilia and photos and stuff.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of really mean looking guys hanging around, but
pulling up on their bikes.
Yes.
I'm sure their neighbors don't like them. Unless it's not like in residential, you're saying.
The neighbors don't exactly have a choice.
But imagine you living there, and then you hear like 5, 10, 15 people.
I can guarantee you it's probably one of the safest neighborhoods in Joburg.
Probably, actually.
Yeah, it's like our cars were parked outside. It's like you don't need to worry about your cars.
So now, where exactly did you play though? In the lounge or what? Next to the motorbike.
So it was like this garage area almost.
Okay.
And that's where we had set up to play. And I got to tell you, for a long sort of concrete room with a tin roof, some of the best acoustics I've ever had.
Oh, really?
My guitars sounded a lot worse in way better venues. So I was like, I'm happy.
Nice.
Yeah. So we had a good time.
And is it a misnomer that most of the Hells Angels guys are scary and are just like angry people?
They look very scary.
Or they look angry, but they're probably not.
They look very scary. Actually, a really, really friendly bunch of guys.
Okay.
You definitely, but they have that air about them that you do not want to get on their bad side.
Okay, so that is real.
Yeah, that is definitely real. But if you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. And you're on their, especially in a clubhouse like that, you're on their territory. You play by their rules, and it's all good.
Okay.
And and I got to be honest. The whole evening was a little more underwhelming than I expected.
Okay.
Because it wasn't this massive raucous party.
Which you would think,
It was actually fairly quiet and chilled and that kind of thing. But it was good.
Okay.
And so we got a couple more gigs with them coming up.
At the same place?
No. We're going to be out. There's a Poppy Day rally. Poppy Day is the end of World War II Remembrance Day
Okay.
out at a military base on the East Rand.
I didn't know that it was done here.
Yeah, no, it is done, and
Okay.
then after that.
But
there
now,
is
why
another
would
venue.
the bikers go to Poppy's Day thing?
I think they've always got a big affiliation with military history and all of that kind of thing. And
Okay.
these guys who we played for on Friday night are organising this whole event coming up. Coming up in about 2 weeks' time. So
Nice.
lots of fun. It was really cool to actually get back in my car just before I drove away, and I could hear the ringing in my ears like flip. I just played
that's
a
cool.
gig
That's cool.
for the first time in. Like a raucous rock and roll gig for the first time in 2 years. I was like, okay, this
That's
feels,
pretty
it feels a
ace.
little bit more normal,
Hey,
you
well
know,
done,
after
dude.
all the stuff
Welcome back.
that we've done, that we've had happen to us over the last.
Well,
couple of
welcome
years.
back to what we're hoping is going to become more normal,
Let's hope so. Yeah.
more normal life. So, we were wanting to take you guys on a journey.
A trip down memory
There,
lane.
see, you know what's interesting, which I have mentioned before a few times. Outside of the podcast, I am freaking eloquent. As soon as we hit the podcast, something happens in my brain that sounds like I haven't, been to school. So yes, a trip down memory lane. If you were, yes, sorry.
I as soon as I said trip down memory lane, I started wishing like, man, I could have said something better than that, because that was a.
Well, that was
bit of a
actually
cliche
what I was
line.
going for, to be honest. So I think you nailed it. Yeah. So if you were born in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I guess, I think you'll remember quite a few of these things that we remember from our lives and stuff. I mean, from TV series
Yeah.
and music, and tech, and our games that we used to play. So yeah, this is kind of fun for us. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah. When what year were you born?
75.
75. Excuse me. I was born in 77. So we only became aware in the 80s. The first couple of years, you're not really.
No, exactly.
So when the 80s hit, that's when I first started getting aware about, the music that was being played on the radio and all of that. And then obviously TV shows.
Which you can.
I reminisce about the
You're
TV
big
shows,
into TV
man.
shows. Well, why don't you start with those?
Oh, man. Where do I start? Well, I basically I was saying to Gareth last week when we were having a chat about this next episode, I thought there was a big six that I felt was the big six.
Yes,
when it
series.
came
Yeah.
When it came to, and it was, and we didn't have a huge amount of choice back then.
No.
We didn't. We didn't have, all these different
Not
channels
as much
and
as we
stuff
have
like
now.
that.
No,
Oh,
not
my
at
word.
all. Not at all.
Nowadays it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Exactly.
So obviously, I'm in no particular order, so this is no, order of preference, but obviously the A-Team. These were all actually action series.
That's right. That's right. There was nothing.
Like really cool action series.
Yeah.
And they were clean. There wasn't any dodgy stuff. It was just,
No, surprisingly, they actually did really well on that.
yeah, no language, no anything else.
No.
And it was just enjoyable, Yeah, so the A-Team, I think that theme song still gives me goosebumps.
And in the A-Team, there was what? B.A. Baracus,
Yeah, Baracus.
the face?
Face Man. What was his real name? Can you remember?
No. What was his name?
His real name was Templeton Peck.
Oh, I remember. It was very stuck up, aristocratic name.
He was the ladies' man. He was the
Right,
slick.
he was very, very
Yeah.
good at what he did.
Yeah.
And then there was Hannibal, was the main guy. Huh?
Hannibal was a leader, Colonel Hannibal Smith.
And he always had that big ass cigar in his
And he
mouth.
loved it when a plan came together. That was
That's
his
right.
line.
That's right.
And then good old Howling Mad Murdoch.
Oh, I remember him. He's a loony.
Yeah.
I liked his
He was
character.
he was the pilot.
That's
The
right.
nuts off his rocker pilot. But he was a genius.
But he was a
It
genius.
great.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that. And then that big black van
Yeah.
with the
BA's
red on the.
So it was basically BA's van that they used as their transport.
Yeah. Nice.
Everyone's favorite, Macgyver. And they all had, all of these shows had the coolest theme tunes.
They did.
I mean,
I
I think about them now and I get goosebumps.
There is one in my head that that for some reason I remember out of all of them, which you haven't mentioned yet. So I'll wait until you do.
Okay,
I
because I
won't
probably
steal your thunder because this is your section. But yeah, they did really good theme tunes.
Yeah, I know. And if anyone would like to comment on how bad the remake of Macgyver was,
didn't even
you're
go
welcome
near
to.
You're welcome.
It was terrible.
No, I think, which I have told you as well, is that one of the episodes really stands out for me with Macgyver, because I liked it when I was younger, but I also didn't like it because it freaked me out at night. It was the one with red ants.
Yes.
And they basically munched people. They weren't friendly ants like we have now. It was like a freaking hordes of them. And if they caught you, they would basically chow you.
That was a classic episode.
And then there was a river between them and one of the characters, and they were like, yeah, screw you, ants, not going to do a bloody thing. They freaking go up trees, munch off the leaves, and then bloody use them as boats.
That's it.
I've never heard of such a smart, intelligent insect than those ones.
That's it, yeah.
Which I wonder actually if that was actually based on truth or was just a really good story. Probably a really good story.
It was Macgyver. I don't know.
But I enjoyed that one. It freaked me out though, but it was really well done. Do you remember, like any episode that stands out to you?
No, I think I'm probably remember more just specific things that he made, or can you? And now because of that show, the word Macgyver has become a verb.
Really?
It's like, yeah, man, I just had this problem, but I Macgyvered it and it worked.
Have you heard that
People, yeah, literally, it's become a thing.
Okay.
Like if you Macgyver something, you've fixed it in a sort of like an improv kind of way, and it kind of works. And it's a Macgyvering move.
Okay. I need to use that more
really
then.
Cool, yeah.
I need to learn that one.
Airwolf.
That's the one.
That's the one. I thought you were talking. There we go.
Thank you.
That
was good.
Did you ever see Airwolf when it came to South Africa?
I only saw Kit, but I didn't see Airwolf.
Okay. I saw Airwolf at Checkers. If anyone remembers Westgate Shopping Centre on the West Rand in Roodepoort,
they had Airwolf.
Airwolf was doing a tour in conjunction with Checkers around the country.
Okay.
So they had, and it's crazy because we counted down. We were standing there in the parking lot. We counted down, and he rose up. Airwolf came up from behind Checkers.
Oh, that must have been
I
good.
like, even now I get goosebumps yet
shit.
again. I lost my mind. and he did these circular flybys, low around us, and then came and landed in front of us. Guns out, sun's out, guns out, bro. Everything was like, it was incredible.
That's very awesome.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Airwolf
was fun. That's probably one of the only series or movies which I enjoyed with flight in it. As in, like, you want to watch the new Top Gun.
Yes.
That stuff just
no interest.
No, I mean, and there was a game, which I got through, which my brother was playing, and it's a flight game. I didn't even play it because it doesn't. You would probably really enjoy that game,
probably.
But for me, it's like flights, and it's okay.
But it's weird. I mean, I've never really had. It's not like I'm passionate about flying. Like I haven't really had aspirations for being a pilot. I mean, I thought it was a cool series.
Yeah.
And Top Gun is a cool movie, no matter what Gareth says.
No, the one that really I did like was Kit.
Oh well.
From Knight Rider. That I watched every week. That's exactly.
Yeah, Knight Rider was the coolest. I mean, and yeah, it's definitely next on my list. What I can't get over, and we chatted about this before, is the amount of guys on Instagram who have built
the kit. Yes, kits. I remember you telling me. Yeah.
Oh my word! And they've done them brilliantly, and the everything inside works. The TV monitors, the lights, everything, and I can't get over it. And they're so genuine.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love it. And yeah, I mean, I think that was probably the coolest one. I think it was Knight Rider. And then came everyone else.
But the biggest part was David Hasselhoff. Come on, man. He's still a legend.
Career,
David Hasselhoff, man. He's still a legend.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Right, throw us another one.
Oh,
and then to make sure that we keep on time, and then we'll jump into some of the gadgets.
Yes, okay. So just quickly, I think the last two, Magnum Pi
Tom Selleck.
was a classic. Yeah, it was great. I mean, and do you notice how each of these ones had a vehicle, had a car, had a something four-wheeled?
Yeah.
And so obviously we had the Magnum Ferrari. Robin won. Because
Yes.
it wasn't his car. He was just allowed to drive it.
I don't remember that, but I'll take your word
It was
for
owned by his employer.
Oh, okay.
So Magnum was great. And then my other favorite one of that main list was Street Hawk.
Okay, I never watched that. I don't even know what it is.
Kind of like Knight Rider, but a motorbike.
Okay.
That was cool. Some people would say it's like more of a B-list one, but
Yeah,
it was fun. It was a good one. The bike could do like super speeds and had guns and lasers. And it could also jump over things. Turbo boost kind of.
Good on
And
them.
you watch the things now on YouTube and you go, oh my word, it's so cheesy.
But at that point, it was like the bomb.
Awesome.
Exactly.
I've sat on Street Hawk as well, and I've met Kit.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, so I've seen Airwolf.
You've met.
I've met Kit. I've sat inside
I did too.
and talked to Kit,
I did too.
and then I've sat on.
Although when I was young, my stutter was way bad. I couldn't get out one word, not even one. I just sat there. But yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, and then I sat on Street Hawk. Also at Westgate, by the way. Westgate's got a thing.
Go
on it.
west, eh? Go you West Rand, you.
So yeah, 80s technology, man.
Did you ever play a game called let me try it again. Simon.
Simon.
It's a round circle, and it's got 4 sections in it, red. So there's a yellow, there's a blue, there's a green, and there's a red. And then basically you would push the button, and then it would start with, like, so for example, red. Bloop.
Mm-hmm.
Then you push red. Then it goes red, green. You push red, green. Then until it gets to the point where it goes red, green, blue, green, red, yellow, and then you have to trace the same pattern to, and then you get to a point, if you're really, really good, that you basically clock the game basically.
I think I remember
Simon,
it,
I loved it.
but I never played it.
Oh,
I never had it, so...
it feels that I had more more toys than you did.
I think we just had different ones.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Maybe, I don't know. You've looked more at the toys.
The toys, and gadgets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another toy that I mentioned to you as well, was called the Waterfall ring toss, and you will definitely, see, on the screen, exactly what we are talking about. So what you are looking at now, it is called Waterfall ring toss, and basically the goal was to basically blow all the rings from the bottom of the tank kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a tank of water.
Yeah, and then you would then have to shoot the rings up over and onto
these little sticks. Yeah.
That I played a lot.
I could remember. I could never press the button hard enough.
Oh, you got to give it a push,
like really. Oh.
You see, it shows me how simple our games were and how much we enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Now there's like so much. Some stuff that you might not know of was the original Nintendo.
Yes.
That was the original Nintendo Game Boy.
Yeah.
And you could and you could buy the little disc kind of thing, and then you would play another game kind of thing. That was the Nintendo Game Boy. Do you remember a watch with a calculator on the side of it?
Yeah, of course, made by Casio. But it wasn't just a calculator. It was like, I think you could store phone numbers. You could do.
Yes, I don't know. All I remember, yeah. So there we go.
It had a few different features.
Yes. So one of the original models of the calculator watch was the gold version of it. Was first released in 1985 and then later re-released. And the designs of these modern versions have barely deviated from the original. Yeah. And it's had a membrane keyboard with mode and adjust physical buttons on the side. I remember it. It was like You were like boss.
Yeah, if you
You
had
got
one
a
of those.
freaking, that was like levels.
I know,
Like
right?
you have a watch. I have a freaking watch with a calculator and a keyboard.
It's like all those chicks at school dug you.
Oh, dude,
Oof, yeah.
they were like the bomb. I don't think I ever had one, but I remember. You know, the one thing that was in the 80s and whatever that had a rebirth, because it was old school, was the Polaroid camera.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
basically one shot and then it would,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've come out again.
exactly. And it was like, wow, it's like, well, that was actually in the 80s.
That's it.
That was the Polaroid camera. I was known as the Polaroid Sun AF600. Sorry, 660.
I always thought it was crazy that you could just take a photo and it just developed
I
while
know.
you shook it.
Freaked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, from when I went to New Zealand, which is where I was born. I was there probably like 2021, and I worked there for a year. And you would have to send in your photos, on a spool that would take, I think, a day or two.
Yeah, you had to get your film
And you actually
developed.
had to have them developed. And
Yeah.
if you made bad photos, you still had to pay for them.
Yeah.
And invariably, I would make some shitty photos, I'm with your finger on the,
Yes,
lens or
yes,
something
yes,
like
yes.
that. But you still have to pay for them, and you can't redo them. You would actually have to go out and buy a whole new spool
That's
and
it.
then take more shots.
That's it.
I remember that like crazy, man.
Thank goodness
Crazy.
Thank goodness for digital cameras.
So bring in some things from your side again.
So we had the Motorola Microtech,
Yep.
which is the first
The
first compact flip phone, mobile flip phone.
Those were the days. I was like, dude, your phone can actually open.
I think, and didn't it have like a one button thing where you could just
Yes, exactly. On the side, and
it just
and
flipped
you would
over?
go,
It's like, excuse me, I gotta.
I know. It was like
call.
that was the whole thing.
It's the coolness factor of it.
Because you could just go, blip, excuse me, exactly.
So it was only released in '89.
Okay.
So it was relatively new.
On the age of the 90s.
$3,000. Can you believe it?
What, the original
The
price?
phone, yeah.
No, can't be.
Wow.
Hey?
Unless I need to go back
Because
and check my sources.
$3,000 in 89 was a shitload.
Yeah. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I need to.
Anyways.
Just one fun fact.
Yes.
You know the internet was essentially invented in the 80s as well.
Was it the 80s?
Yeah, and actually 1983.
Yeah.
January the 1st, 1983. But it only went public. It only became like a public thing in 1993. So it's like a decade later.
Wow.
It became
Okay.
something that we all
Love and adore.
and hate with a
Yes.
passion in sometimes as well. You were talking about VCRs.
VHS machines and VCRs, exactly.
Well, the battle between VHS and Beta for a while.
I don't even remember Beta.
Yeah, there were smaller tapes.
Little
we had
ones.
So there was this whole thing. You were either a VHS person or you were a Beta version.
So it's a bit like either you're an Xbox or you're a PlayStation.
Pretty much, and VHS eventually won out. So yeah, I've still got VHS videotapes at home. Original ones
Yeah.
that I bought, like music concerts and stuff like that. And then I've got a whole bunch of concerts that I taped off TV.
I would do that too.
And I've got, Saturday nights after the movie, there would always be concerts, and there would be the MTV Unplugged series and stuff like that. And I'd just stick in a videotape, hit record, and go to sleep. And it would just run.
And it's the waking up. I was like, I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, you were watching,
All excited.
eating your cornflakes on the Sunday morning, watching the Lenny Kravitz concert that you just recorded. It was great. Eh?
That's a good memory. In the Squid Games that we were talking about,
Yeah.
I love that theme tune. That's awesome. Anyways, we'll put it in here somewhere. One of the games that they played was marbles.
Yes.
And marbles originated. I remember playing it at school.
Oh yeah,
when
so
I was
do
a lighty.
Yeah.
And when
Primary
I was
school.
still in primary school. So
Yeah.
that's in the 80s. And the whole thing about marbles, I mean, there were like many, many ways, to play. The one game that they did in Squid Games, which I played at school a lot, was there was a like a hole in the a divot in the
Yes.
in the ground.
Yes.
And then you would for example have like 9 marbles each,
Yeah.
and then the aim was to put the marble into the hole.
Yeah.
And if you got it into the hole, all the marbles on the side of it that didn't go through, you could take them.
Oh, I see.
I think that was how it worked. And basically, you would go to school with like 20 marbles and sometimes leave with 35 or leave with 10.
Yeah.
And that was the whole cool thing about it. Like every day was like, okay, I'm going to get my marbles back. I'm going to get more marbles. And there were Milky Ways. There were cat's eyes. There was
Ironies.
the speckled ones. They're like white speckles and
Eggies.
eggies.
And there were ironies, which were ball bearings, basically.
Yeah, I remember those.
Our game
Memories.
was next level because we actually had to roll our marbles up a hill. So we had to flick them uphill. We had to roll them up a hill into a dip. We didn't just.
I think
we
I
weren't just
remember that
throwing them.
vaguely. Yeah,
We weren't just throwing them like they did in Squid Game or whatever. We were up. We had to. So there was an extra challenge.
That's clever. I remember that vaguely.
We were hardcore Emery.
You were actually more hardcore than me in Bigari Primary, so that's fine.
We probably played you guys in sports as well. I don't know.
I didn't. My
didn't
only
play
sport
sports
was
in
marbles. Yeah. No, I'm not a sporty person. I would have done art or musical. Probably me was just marbles and stuff like that. I didn't give a crap about school.
And at one stage, you were telling me when we were chatting about doing this episode or whatever, you were talking about pages and how cool you thought you were when you had a pager.
So for people who don't know what a pager is, don't worry, you didn't really miss out on much. I don't know how it was such a big thing. But basically, you could send me a message on my pager. So basically, it was a little block, which you can obviously now see. And basically, if you wanted to get hold of me, you would then phone into the pager company.
Yes.
Then you would tell them what you want to say. And then they would send it to your pager, and it would beep, beep, and then you would read a little thing on the screen.
Yes, and then it normally required you to make a phone call back to that person or...
Yes, if you wanted to phone them back, then you could.
Yeah.
Then
or mainly they just wanted to maybe just confirm it.
Well, basically they wanted, to phone you for something for some other reason, and you weren't available. And then I had a code with one of the companies I worked for. It was like a 99 or like a 77, whatever. They had various meanings.
See.
In the work environment I was there.
Okay.
And it was fun for a while, but then until you realized that everybody could actually get hold of you somehow, it became a pain in the ass. Then I just stopped. But no, I thought I was the boss, dude. I walked everywhere with my pager on my belt.
So that everyone could see it.
Yes, of course. Damn right.
What's quite interesting is that pages are still used today.
Really?
There are about 2 million.
Of pages?
Yeah, they're still used.
No.
Because in certain situations they can actually be more reliable than cellular service to get hold of people because they work on very low signal. So they you okay there, bro?
Bloody flies. Carry on.
So it apparently during the London bombings in 2005, a lot of communication between emergency services were used on pages because the cell services were overwhelmed. It was quite interesting.
So they would still though have to phone in somewhere.
Yeah, but to get hold of people and to send messages to pages was in that type of situation was actually more reliable. Huh. Very interesting. And pages apparently have actually been around since the 50s and the 60s. There've been different ways of doing it.
It does make sense.
Yeah, which is pretty incredible, I thought.
The Sony Walkman.
Oh.
If you were born in this era, that's probably the biggest thing, I would imagine. For me, that's the biggest thing that stands out. Besides LPs and so forth.
It enabled you to take your music with you wherever you wanted.
Oh, it was like the biggest thing ever. But I would always run out of batteries. It was like...
Yeah, I used to run batteries down very...
You would chow batteries. And I remember, though, walking from wherever I was walking, to my local church, whatever it was, and I was like, the headphones on, and I would just be walking up the street with like passion. And then, and I remember, which I've already told you about this one, is that the Turks where I was at, I don't think it was everybody, but there was a call that was basically saying that like rock is evil.
Ooh.
And one of my friends there, she went to all her Def Leppard stuff and smashed the crap out of all her albums. And I remember going up, walking there with music that I knew that they didn't appreciate. And I was like the rebel, walking into the Turks, knowing that my stuff that I'm listening to, they were like, you're the devil. I was like the boss, man. I remember the Walkman. They were just awesome.
Yeah, I never owned an actual Sony Walkman, but
I did.
Everyone came
I
out
went
with their
Sony
own.
boy.
Yeah, because Walkman was a Sony brand, so you
Correct.
But everyone just called it a Walkman. It's like everyone in England calls a vacuum cleaner a Hoover.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
True. Although this doesn't do the same thing though.
No, it doesn't.
Not at all.
I think if your
No.
vacuum
Carry on.
cleaner played music, I thought that was pretty impressive. Anyway,
That is actually called a bagpipe. That's all that they are to me. Yes.
Sure. What else? Well, we had some cool stuff coming out in the 90s as well. Hey.
I'll believe you.
So the Nokia 1011. Yeah. Here we go, guys.
We're old. That's embarrassing.
It was the first mobile phone to support text messaging, and that came out in 1994, and the world was never the same.
Okay. I got I remember that Rowan worked for Ericsson. I don't think it was through him, but that he got me, like really into the Ericsson stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember the first phone that I had saved up for, I think. It was like obviously now you can see it. But that phone, it was the first phone that I could actually play games on.
Yeah.
It was a little screen, and it was, this little half-shaped little phone basically. It was like the biggest thing for me because I was like saving up, and it was the biggest because I could actually play a game on my phone, like on the screen. It wasn't even a big screen at all.
I know.
And I could oh dude, that was like the biggest thing ever. I can't remember what model it was, but yeah, it's an Ericsson. I was like, damn, finally.
Something that will definitely resonate with you, the first Sony PlayStation.
Yeah, I remember
also in 1994.
The PlayStation 1.
That's it. And geez, man.
You know what's interesting is that it is now, not now, it's been doing this for a while. It's a retro thing. You can actually buy the original PlayStation 1.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it is.
Mm.
So don't be surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Because it's real. So you shouldn't be surprised. It is. You must be surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. Because retro is cool.
Yeah, so that's the original is actually available to actually buy, and you can have it in your house and look cool because it's the same PlayStation 1.
It's cool.
That's
Play
where
all those games.
That's where everything's. No, where everything started was the Nintendo, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just thinking quickly back to the Nintendo stuff in the 80s. Do you remember those single and double screen games that you could buy? It wasn't a Game Boy.
Okay.
Like Donkey Kong and all of these.
Yeah, I had Donkey Kong.
Now, do you know that I've actually still got one of those double screen Nintendo games?
Really?
It's still in its box.
Okay, that's got to be worth money.
It is.
In all seriousness, that's going to be worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Over time, it's going to get a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know where it is right now, but I kept it in its box. It is a Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck,
dude,
and Goofy putting out a fire. It's a double screen flip.
In all seriousness,
yeah, man,
we need to actually see what they're worth now, because maybe not like now, but maybe in another 5 or 10 years, that could actually be.
Dude, I logged game time on that thing.
Really?
Yes. And it probably, if I put batteries in, it'll probably still fire up and work. So.
Of course, that's what I've done.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have left.
Oh, we gotta get 6 minutes to go. 7 minutes. Yeah.
All right, correctness. One of the biggest music things that came out, and it blew my mind. It was probably the first video that was like totally epic that was made. Was Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh yeah. I mean, just that.
They're like whole. I think it was the first. And it could be very wrong. From what I remember, it was the first music video that was actually like a freaking story, like a mini movie.
Yeah.
And how they shot it, and the whole Ghoul Dance.
Yes,
and,
that's
and
it.
oh,
That became a phenomenon.
that
as
was
well,
amazing memory. Michael Jackson's Thriller. That video was, you know,
Yeah.
which like nowadays is normal. Although nowadays, when they make a, you know, music video and like one half of it is just a friggin' like badly acted, it's like, guys, you really want to do something, go back and look at Thriller.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's the beginning level. When did a VH, no, MTV come out? Because the first song was Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yeah. I can't remember the.
Because that was the beginning of MTV.
Yeah. And that was, and for
I think it was the 90s, but
Yeah.
I will check us for it.
for me in the 90s, talking about MTV.
Yeah, please.
One of my favorite shows was the MTV Unplugged series that they did, where it was this first time that like rock bands or artists would get together on this very small, intimate stage, ditch the electric instruments, pick up acoustic stuff, and make all acoustic arrangements of their songs. And it was a phenomenon because Rod Stewart was actually the first one to do it.
Okay.
And then came Eric Clapton, and Eric Clapton's MTV Unplugged performance is
It must have been brilliant.
off the charts.
No, he's a legend.
But everyone was giving him shit about it because he said, because they was like, oh, Rod Stewart's done it, and now Eric Clapton wants to do it. It's like, no, it's actually become now a series.
And there's no ruling. It's
No.
a freaking genre.
No, and then if you think about, I think one of the best ones was Nirvana doing their MTV Unplugged. It was just, and I've still got quite a few of those
You're the musician.
on the
I'm
VHS tapes that I
VH1,
can't watch.
yeah.
I've still got quite a few. There was REM. There was Pearl Jam. Pearl
I'm
Jam was
impressed.
another one. Oh my word, fantastic performances, but all intimate. The audience is sitting all around them, super close, and they're sitting there on bar stools and whatever, and they're just playing this.
I remember those actually.
I learned how to play guitar watching those things.
Really?
Yeah, because of the close-ups of all the instruments.
Oh,
and you can see what they were doing.
yeah.
Like, oh, that's how you do it. You pause the video machine and it goes all like this.
I remember
shakes
that.
on the
yeah. So MTV came out 1st of August 1981.
Oh, wow. as
And then
early as that.
VH1 followed it 4 years later, 1985. And BET, interesting, came out between the two of them in 1980.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, BET actually came out before MTV.
Wow.
And just a random thing, Nickelodeon, which everyone knows, 1977.
Damn. Okay.
And Cartoon Network also came out in the 80s. 80s or 90s.
Wow.
I loved Cartoon Network. I was at a stage where, in fact, I could probably do it now still, is like I lived on it. That was the only thing I watched.
Okay.
All those shows.
Yeah.
Freaking loved it. The Flintstones. You were saying there was a few which you watched.
Yeah, 90s TV. There was a lot more comedy.
Yeah.
There was some sitcoms in the 80s. Three's Company, that kind of thing. But in the 90s, I mean, we had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, that's definitely a legendary thing.
We had Friends. Okay, I'm not a fan of Friends, but it became a phenomenon.
Oh, Friends has gone huge.
Yeah.
Obviously.
There was a show called Early Edition. There was a guy.
Newspaper one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember dinosaurs?
No.
Animatronic dinosaurs, but it was like a sitcom.
No.
It was fantastic.
Terrible.
MTV Unplugged, Law and Order, ER was a massive one. Good old George Clooney got his big start.
That's
there.
right, yeah.
X-Files, obviously.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
I mean, come on.
Diddle-diddle-tum,
Probably one of my favorite comedies, not very popular nowadays with the Wokies, but Married with Children.
Yeah, I never liked it.
I loved
I
it.
tried. I just couldn't get into
I
it.
need you to download it for me.
Hey,
please.
I don't download.
Oh yeah, we don't. Sorry,
Duh.
that was
That was
sorry.
weird.
I don't
Why
know.
would you even say that?
That was those were the voices in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to catch me out on our podcast.
Sorry,
That's
man.
rude. I'll think about it. See.
And then there was Frasier, obviously, which is legend. And one of my favorite skit comedy shows was a show called In Living Color with the Wayans. It was done by the Wayans brothers.
Wayans.
Keenan Ivory Wayans, Marlon Wayans. Oh my word! Jim Carrey got his start there,
Really?
and Jennifer Lopez was one of the dancing
Living
girls
Colour?
in the studio. Yeah,
Okay.
They had these 4 girls, that were really sexy hip hop dancers. They were called the Fly Girls, and Jennifer Lopez was one of them. That's how she got her start. And Jim Carrey was just legend on it. He was like one of the 3 token white people in the show. It was fantastic.
Ah, he's great.
And they used to rip on white people like you wouldn't believe. It was hilarious. I loved that show.
You watched a lot more TV than me. We actually was a family. Well, the parents chose it. We actually didn't have a TV for years
Okay.
because they didn't want us to be behind TVs, and I'm not really sure the whole meaning of it. Maybe they were, Amish, which I wasn't aware of for a few years. I don't know, but no, we couldn't have a TV. I remember when there was the Cricket World Cup. My dad rented out a TV just for that.
Damn.
And then it went back.
That's sad.
And then he had a TV also that he used. It was a black and white one out of all the random things. Small little thing, and he would watch things on that. But no, we didn't have TV. My parents wanted us to have more time with family, and on the weekends we would play board games a lot. Every weekend was board games.
Sure.
And then if you remember on SAFM, our local South Africa one, on the weekends they had shows audible stories,
Like radio dramas.
you
sit there on
and
the
like
radio
every
listening.
Saturday from like 8:30 we were like and listen.
Yeah.
And if you go onto things like Spotify now, there's a whole pile of those on there.
Yeah.
Some really good ones,
Cool.
but that actually originated right in the back days, 80s, 90s.
Well, that was our trip down memory lane.
And that was a good one actually.
We have come to the end of this. We could
we
go
could-
for a little.
We could, but we got through a lot, which
We
I
did.
thought was great.
It was cool. It was nice to chat about some things that I'd forgotten about as well, which is very cool. So,
Yeah,
okay.
dude. A last thing,
Mm.
but this is like the 1959, the 1960s, so it's a bit off. But the Pepsi Cola was actually the first American product to be manufactured, marketed, and sold in the United Soviet Union.
Wow.
And thank you for listening. Bye bye. Cheers.
Just a random fact about it.
Yeah, no,
really
just random.
Cool drink.
Yeah, I mean,
there.
we didn't. I mean, it's just for no reason.
I know. Just
No,
you
we just wanted
decided
to
throw it in
mention.
there.
Oh, because it's in my hand. Not a sponsor yet.
This has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast. My name is Bruce.
You know what it has been? It has been. Thank you so much.
What's your name?
You know what? At this point, don't have a 90s name for myself. I'll probably go with like a Johnny Bravo, but he has way more muscle than me.
Mm.
But I'm smarter than him, which is not really that hard to do
You're
with.
probably also taller than him. 'cause
With
you're-
Johnny Bravo. I love that character.
So did I.
And Courage the Cowardly Dog.
There we go.
Thank you. So my name is one of the three. Or could be Gareth. All right, I'm done. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Adios.
Catch us in the next one.
Bye bye.